Last game of week 7, Singularity versus NYYRIKKI. For Singularity, it doesn't mean much. For NYYRIKKI, it could mean the playoffs. But Singularity could take the first win.
I mean, that's kind of the role of Singularity currently right now. They're kind of just running around and seeing whoever they hopes and dreams they can take away. They have nothing to gain. They can only be horrible against you. Honestly, Singularity, just the bad guys of the league currently.
What?
Because they gain nothing of their wins. They only take away your playoffs, hopes, and dreams. So that's exactly what they want. The
League of
fulfillment
Legends is about that.
taking away other people's dreams.
I think I'm gonna take it from the other side of the battlefield right now, and I'm gonna take NYYRIKKI side. And
Okay.
we saw earlier in the pre-show they have the easiest strength of schedule towards the end of the
Yes.
season, and the easiest team on that schedule has to be Singularity.
Oh, yeah,
We
for
haven't
sure.
gotten a win yet, so I think this game for NYYRIKKI is mandatory win.
If they lose, this could be the first nail on the coffin of not
Yep.
getting into the playoffs. There we go, Ziggs is going to be removed. Will we get the Gnar again? Just as Jaeger was telling us, Gnar is now priority pick, is so good on the top side. Even without the Hullbreaker, he's really good, but with the Hullbreaker,
Okay.
it's something.
Okay, Tryndamere being banned right here, to me, it signifies a Graves pick. If you're gonna ban the Tryndamere away, of course you're banning versus
Yes.
Petoska because he's an insane Tryndamere player, but also a lot of the times it's gonna be banned away when you want to pick the Graves because it becomes really difficult for the Graves to play versus a Tryndamere. Now I'm wondering if they're gonna choose to ban away the Riven because last time it was open, Petoska didn't choose.
I honestly don't think I mean, against a team like Singularity, maybe they feel like Riven is worth banning, but last time we saw it was against a better team. I think that Riven is a pick against the lower end teams, it's going to work out because you can outplay them mechanically. But against the top end teams, the Riven's just not going to work because they'll know how to play against it and they'll know how to shut it down. Now, AD carries have not been removed yet, so we might just see the traits off of that. I'm also looking at Gwen, there she came on blue side, which is quite surprising, but it also just speaks to the fact that you have another priority pick you're looking for when you're banning away the Gwen like this.
I mean, you have Azetor. You have the Jinx Prodigy player in your team, so I'm thinking right here you could potentially handshake the Aphelios with the Jinx, unless, again, you want to potentially B1 the Graves here and then look to maybe swap it in the jungle later on if you want to flex it around, but they're gonna choose to play for priority pressure mid and bleed it into a side lane.
Yeah, we just see the Rise as well. It is something that can gain the priority. You get the Realm Warp to move around with, just cheat the tempo a little bit whenever you're roaming, or just all in all, create good plays with another team comp you can come up with if you want to dive into that backline. Now, going for the Aphelios in this instance, though, just leaves open the Jinx for the side of assets also. I do believe we'll have that picked up. Wouldn't surprise me if we saw Abagnale on an insta support engage as well, or if you want to see the jungle pool as well, because it is one of these things where the jungle pool is so vast and deep that you can still afford going into it to the second ban rotation. But as a support here with the priority for Abagnale and for Assetol, do you feel like you need to prioritize something now, or are you fine with just picking up whatever jungle you want now? And I think this is the one that makes sense.
I think the biggest takeaway here is not necessarily the Jinx, because we knew they were going to take the carries anyway. You just take the thresh away from the Aphelios, and you make Aphelios, you know, a little bit more vulnerable, whether he has like a Nautilus next to him or Leona. It's not something that necessarily protects him too much. It's more of an engaged support, and here is they're going to lock in away the Nautilus, which means that a lot of the comfort, survivability, and protection goes to the sort of Jinx having the Lantern.
Okay, so moving into this one, like, it's outside of the Jinx, having the Rise and whatever that's going to come through from the side of NYYRIKKI, like, it is a little bit short range. You know they're going to play around team fighting, so Veigar is a pick that could end up having value as well, moving further down if you're waiting out. And banning away top laners like this, either you're looking for a 4th pick, because there's no way you would ever blind pick Fiora. So I think what Singularity is looking for here is that they have a pick in mind, they're going to 4th pick their top laner, and then they're going to save mid for counter.
So,
Yeah, what's up?
Camille is very scared of Fiora on a side lane. So I'm looking here at the Fiora ban, and I'm like, this a lot of times is targeted versus someone who wants to play Camille. You want to ban away the Fiora because in the side lane, later on, Hullbreaker versus Hullbreaker, if you will, Fiora does end up winning the 1 versus 1. And you've already banned the Tryndamere as well. So I'm thinking that here it could be some sort of Camille, and then you look potentially for your last pick. I would actually pick mid here and then save potentially the Camille for last pick.
That is fine for me, and I would normally also just pick a control mage on 4 here. What I don't really get is the fact you ban Fiora because no one ever blinds Fiora. Like, you would have an incentive to pick Fiora into something, which is, to me, is a bit Interesting. Baker does go through, which we quickly highlighted as well. A little bit of short range. Picking it on R5 would have given you more intel, but it does leave open counter pick for Tatooine, which have had success in some matchups with the counter picks, but struggle to translate it into any meaningful victories, actually. Any victories from the side of Singularity.
Yeah, but now you've locked in yourself with 2 immobile carries, the Veigar and the Aphelios, and Trundle does really well into the Zinza on a 1v1 matchup. He does really well into immobile carries, just goes from lane to lane to lane, pops up the pillar, grabs the flash, rinse and repeat, and it's a kill. And now, right here, what do you look to round up your composition? Because you have AP damage, you have AD damage, you have a lot of protection, you add another layer on it, but this is very crucial here because if Tatooine locks in something like a Camille, locks in something like a Hullbreaker side lane, that Ornn is going to get pushed in really hard, which means you're going to start having a bleeding lane. And Tatooine has looked really strong when he has the good side of the matchup in the top lane.
The thing with Fiora as well to me is I was quickly thinking of Aatrox, and I was quickly thinking of the Urgot as well because Hullbreaker has
It's not, it's Camille, it's Camille. It's Camille. Like,
Camille
the bad
is
Fiora,
coming
it's a
through as well.
Camille matchup.
It's just it's interesting how that was picked up. I'm still baffled a little bit by the second ban rotation, but this will...
My third eye is up here.
There you go, the article.
But this will be the composition coming through with it. Great team fighting, all in all, from NYYRIKKI. You got great kite back. You're going to be building Everfrost on the side of Rice. You got the Trundle for immobile carries to just create a slow zoning field. And you got long range engage with the Ornn. Now, I will say you have some room to play around with because there's good disengage in this Sao. There's a good cage with the Event Horizon for Baker as well. And you got a scary carry to play for. I honestly think whoever gets like close to an objective first can really play this on Ornn. I don't know what your sense are.
Yeah, I feel like tags off. I think Singularity have a very promising draft. I really like the double cage with the Camille and the Veigar. You lock someone in, you lock them in again. So whoever basically walks forward, you do have the guns and the power to instantly destroy them. The Ornn walks forward, you still have the Veigar ultimate when you're also like really farmed later on in the game. You're still going to do the damage. You get rid of the front line for the side of NYYRIKKI, then you can start moving forward in the fights. Especially since the Ornn was picked, you know that they're going to be engaging into you. So I really love the Veigar here. It's going to work wonders.
This could turn out to actually be a bloody game because NYYRIKKI have everything to lose on the side of Singularity. They have nothing to lose. And just as Varus tells us, beware of the man who has nothing to lose. It is time for the casters to take over and head over to the Summoner's Rift.
I think you'll find, he actually says, beware a man with nothing but shoes.
Yeah,
so if you see someone with way too many like pieces of
cobblers.
footwear,
He's telling you be afraid of cobblers.
Do not go near like a farrier for horses, a cobbler. Just
no,
don't.
the reason you go to a farrier for horses is because clearly he's been arming Hecarim with weapons of war, and you saw what happened that last game, and it's very dangerous.
Yeah, effectively, beware of a man.
Look, people who have great fashion sense and enjoy collecting sneakers are actually just psychopaths and dangerous.
Speaking of sneakers, Singularity are looking to sneak a win.
I knew that was going to be your choice of pun, and it was, he's here again. Softlaunch, Destroyer of Worlds,
Revere him.
Breadcrumbs. He who is the Herald of the Void, beyond Malzahar.
Blessed with their presence, all
Blessed?
hail.
Cursed? Both?
Either way, something notable of appearance on...
That duck is terrifying. Truly, I have nightmares. Maybe he is the nightmare.
Yeah, well, I think this split has been Singularity's nightmare, if we're going to go back to the game once more. I know we have to do that at some point. Singularity sat at 0 and 13, and yeah, they probably wouldn't necessarily want to be focused on this split so much themselves if they were in our shoes. Again, too many shoes. But this time, they have the ability to be a bit of, well, not quite a blue shell, because obviously NYYRIKKI are chasing towards that 6th place spot. And given how good the 7-win teams, actually now going up to 8-win teams as well, have looked, that is a tall task.
And you are trying to steal a playoffs position from Riddle, from Dusty, or from Veneer. As it stands, with only 5 games left to play, well, 4 games after this game is done for every other team, of course, you have got to reach at least 7 wins. I'll say it again.
And then hope.
And then hope. That means X7, JDXL, and Bifrost are all confirmed in playoffs.
Also means they are your best friend at that point. You want them to slip up to you if you're facing them and beat down all these mid-table packs so you can catch up with them.
Which is why, actually, Veneer getting that win against JDXL earlier was such a big deal for them, because it's a win against a team that was already pretty much confirmed, and it means the opportunities to take a slot away from someone get narrower for the likes of NYYRIKKI, Astralis, who, of course, did fall short earlier today, and, of course, Eminem, who also did not manage to get it done versus Xavian in the previous game. NYYRIKKI currently on a 3-game losing streak, and they've got themselves a relatively standard front to back with the Rise kind of playing something of a side laner. But I did like what the desk was saying about the kind of the double cage comp, the fact that Tatui clearly isn't wearing shoes because he's decided he's actually going to have knives instead of legs, which are also fairly dangerous, who's got a split push thread as well.
Yeah, but speaking of those double cages and all of these comps and stuff, I think that a lot of this in the early game is going to be determined by Trundle and Rise having infinite prior of what Singularity are doing. Desiderate already level 3, walking into Porp's jungle, who hits level 3 themselves. But Vigar can't push out from tower. Porp has to abandon his blue buff because he knows that his mid lane opponent's mid lane is in his jungle.
Porp flashing out of his wolf pit at sub 3 minutes. That is the power of early jungle tracking. It's a full blue side clear into a full blue side invade from Desiderate.
It's that, and it also, this harkens back to what has been one of the big issues for Singularity, which is if they are playing around early jungle pathing, their lanes have rarely been in a position to support that. They have rarely been in a position to respond. Luckily for Porp, that, well, I mean, I say luckily. He's lost the coin flip of guessing which side of the jungle, which Desiderate had played towards.
Surely he's sure with the blue buff on.
Saw the blue buff, but he might have thought he'd gone towards
the invade
blue
on
Wolves Raptors.
Right.
But either way, he's gonna find himself half a jungle quadrant down, and that's of course been added into the hungry belly of Desiderate. And Desiderate, who, let's be honest, against JDXL, had a bit of a shocker last game. Flipped over a crab, did a bit of a blabber versus DFM. You see, I got to reference that team in relevant.
Yep, he did a crabber, specifically.
He did a crabber. He feasted upon crustacean, and then the enemy kind of got fed off of him.
Look, you know, the likes of, you know, PUBG has winner chicken dinner. We've got crustaceans. That's our choice. We've got seafood.
Do you have a rhyme for it? No. I'm gonna say
game win, inflation, stop inting for the crustacean.
that is much better than I could have come up with, but Desiderate has come up with something in the bot lane, and
Challenge me, and I will deliver. NYYRIKKI trying to get a play in the bot side. Yepe taken desperately low towards 5. Abagnale knocked up by the 3. Talon, strike, knees to under the wind becomes lightning into audacious charge. Gets first blood, and vengeance for the early invade as Yepe flashing forwards, but doesn't have the most HP. Doesn't quite die to the final rocket from Fishbones. I remember Jinx's rocket launcher for a second as in comes Aero looking for an invade. Does have flash, does not have ghost. What can he get done? It's a 1v3. Porp stepping forward. Hook come through as well. Yepe doing a lot of work, and Spikey gets 1, gets 2. And Singularity might be finally pulling a blue shell. Poor Aero now needs to back away. Singularity will not find more, and Spikey on the Aphelios comes up clutch.
Yepe landing a hook after hook, but he's gonna fall for it.
Get it. Spellflux not quite enough for final auto, and it's an overload that brings down the Nautilus.
An overload to punish an overstay from both of these teams. Saw that a lot in that last game. Going back into the replay of all of this, though, it starts with early aggression from that Trundle. You know that he wants to keep pushing up the ante. You know that Porp has been shut out of this game, but again, credit to Porp at this point, actually after being shunted out of his own jungle, finds himself at the right place at the right time to at least turn this play around and turn around some of those early game woes. So both teams coming in with some heavy hitting punches in the early game. They've traded 1 or 2 apiece now.
And Aero saw a potential angle, but it was 1v3 here, and honestly, I am slightly surprised he didn't go down. The turnaround from Yepo, though, and that flash forward for the Dusk Wave, for the Binding Eclipse. Beautiful stuff from Spikey. He just couldn't quite get the wave into tower, and Aero with a solid punish. And Dragane, even on the Veigar, doesn't actually get that much back in terms of the wave. Of course, he has just reset.
He's a Veigar.
Yeah,
What do you want from this champion? He's only got little legs, Sam.
Yeah, but he's down 20 CS despite that long-term roam is more what I was getting at.
He's only got little legs and little staff things, Sam.
He is the font of quite a lot of phenomenally evil power.
He might be in 15 to 20 minutes, but for the
right now, it's just a small amount of phenomenally evil power.
I have a small amount. It doesn't sound quite as imposing when you say that.
Well,
I have a small amount of
imposing figure.
Phenomenal evil. You're like, okay, that's actually not that concerning.
I've got about, like, I don't know, $1's worth of phenomenally evil power.
Well, Dragane would like to spend that dollar to get a ticket out of the mid lane gank, and he does so. Great job. Public transport working well on Summoner's Rift today. I could see that there's no line disruptions here. And focusing on other areas of the map, we do see that both junglers are hanging around the top side for now, handing off a blue buff, whereas Pop going to try and catch up in some of that farm, which was so deceitfully stolen from him early. And both these junglers now kind of getting to that point where they've kind of had their first initial salvo in this early game, and they're waiting for that. Yes.
I know I'm cutting you off here, but
Yes,
I've
I know you
committed a
are.
cardinal
Okay.
sin of play-by-plays.
Going for it.
I've forgotten an ability name.
What's
I would
that,
like to
Sam?
know. It's the one that allows Veigar to stack up his passive, the Q. What's it called again? The one where he throws a
Is
little
it-
line shield.
it's Baleful Strike.
Baleful Strike, thank you so much.
I thought that. Wait, Sam, I genuinely thought you were going to trap me into a pub.
No, I was actually genuinely quite upset.
Well, they've trapped
Thank
some
you for
people in the bot lane.
Yeah, they have indeed. Thank you for rescuing me. I apologize for my lack of knowledge, but I will now remember the name Baleful Strike.
Not gonna
one
lie.
strike one against me.
I'm not gonna lie, I was sat there and I looked at you with quite a
You look very
quite a
nervous.
condescending gaze, and I look back and I see some stuff happening in the bot lane, and then again
Okay.
in the top lane.
There is still going to be a Call of the Force Squad gets 2 up. He's going to get the solo in a 1v2. Patoska, you can't do that. Porp should surely be able to finish this one up. Patoska looking to see if he can get the knock up on the pillar. Can't quite make it. Doesn't quite have the damage, and Porp will secure it, but that should never have happened.
No, probably not. Actually, the last time we saw a Camille in a similar situation was Cries the other day, and he was out playing a 1v4. So that tends to happen when you have insane leads, which Tatui does not have. So Patoshka, this player which you often visit in the sides of standout players, the explosive players in the good or bad direction for NYYRIKKI, does find a decent kill there. Now, is it going to mean that much? Not massively. At the end of the day, he still died on the top side. At least the kill doesn't go over to the side of Camille, at least. And now we are left contesting Herald.
Herald started by NYYRIKKI. Roam over from Aero. Not a lot of room to contest. It's a decent hook onto Yepe, who's trapped behind the Flame Chomper, so will take a solid 2/3 of his HP bar. There needs to be a little bit wary of a Super Mega Death Rocket that could come through to make his life particularly challenging. The Herald was secured. Porp has decided there was no way of contesting, so he's instead looking for a lane gank down here. He is off vision right now.
Is, but then look at what's happening with the mid jungle from NYYRIKKI. So NYYRIKKI will win out on this trade if nothing happens in this bot side. So Singularity looking to make a play work on the bot side. It's going to be plates. It's going to be a wave lost. But the person who's losing out for this is Porp, and that has so often been the case for this team. At least Porp picked up some kills across the map. Now moving out of bot lane, they could find themselves caught, but Abignale, I'm not going to pull the trigger there.
All right, there's the Herald summon. They already got A plates. This will be 2 more. Will not... Oh, actually, that's not quite able to interrupt that. I wondered whether there might be just about time to pull it out of the charge, but it had already set up, and that meant that Shelly was going to go through and secure those plates for NYYRIKKI. And they find themselves up about 400 gold in this early game. Of course, the early kills going the way of Spiky have meant that they're at least staying relatively close, but I'm looking at relatively solid CS leads in mid. Obviously, the jungle differential there, the plates going down. NYYRIKKI's doing more than fine in this early game, and in fact, now actually to a slight gold lead in general.
They have a lot less, puns aside, I was actually going to say they have a lot less spiky gold leads themselves because they have more even gold across the board. So you are looking at Aphelios as the person who needs to be very efficient with their gold, needs to do more than their fair share of carrying because your Camille is not really ahead. They died that first time. Your mid lane is not going to be in a great position to do that for a little while either. So you're waiting to see what's going to happen with this Aphelios. Now, Aphelios is one of the best gold carries in the game. And we'll have to keep our eyes on that later. Because Spiky, of course, is up against Aztor, one of our best AD carries in the league. I genuinely think he is second best or best Aphelios in the league. Of course, he's on the Jinx this year.
Yeah.
And Spiky taking up the mantle of that one himself. And really, we're not seeing that much action at this point. As we said, the junglers have kind of crested their ability to really be a wrecking ball on the map, and potentially this will be the next time to kind of hand the baton over to their teammates at Dragon.
If I had to put a potential fly in the ointment, it's that I've not been especially impressed with NYYRIKKI as a whole when Patoshka isn't on a side lane threat. When he's been on things like the Orm, when he's been on things like the Cho'Gath, they've looked a lot less comfortable in the mid game than they are when he's on something like the Gangplank or the Jax, or the Tryndamere even, which is perennially, permanently, never mind perennially, all the time banned against
I don't
that
even
guy.
know the meaning of the word.
Perennially, like every other year or like half a year, something like that.
Oh, I actually didn't realize that. So, that's English Lessons with Sam, who has a lot more knowledge of that than me.
If I remember correctly, it's a bit like biannually, where you're like, does that mean twice a year or every 2 years? And it can mean either, depending on context.
What?
It's really stupid.
Well, don't confuse
It's
me like
really
that.
stupid. No, it's genuinely.
Sam, my brain is filled with League of Legends facts, nothing about actual vocabulary.
I personally prefer to subscribe to cat facts.
The cat might be out of the bag here in the bot lane as the sweeper spots him in the bush.
And that's a lot of traded autos. That's a flash for the root. Azator now trying to back his way up, trying to auto their way forward. Flash forward from Spikey, look for the binding eclipse and the Dusk Wave. Can't quite secure it. Will surely be going down, but no, flash away from Azator. And body blocking by Abagnale means that there's no way out. Dragane is coming down though. Can he make it work with the primordial burst and a flash? No way to miss that one with a point and click deletion.
That is so harsh. Just like flashes in, like comes in, just like initial D music in the background, like I'm coming for that Jinx.
It's just like it's just literally gone flat. It's like, you know, when you turn up to, like, you know, those memes of LeBron turning up to a middle school basketball court and just going for a slam dunk over their head. That was basically Azator. Poor guy.
Oh, gosh. So back to where they started. That sweeper got some serious value for Yappe, and they decided, right, we're going in, we're going to commit to this. Damage calculation very, very close, comes down to the wire, but when you have the Predator on the Vega and a flash available to them, you know that Nails cooldowns are down. This is so unfair. Oh, that is, you just got to feel so bad because they worked so hard on that TV2. They calculated so well, and then those short legs walked a whole long way to get there.
That was a particularly rude word to specifically Azator, as locked into the cage of Patoshka. He outplayed it last time. He gets another double knockup. Not quite enough even with the flash. And he does go down this time. This one secured by Tatui. In the mid lane, though, Aero and Desidere will be able to secure first turret in mid lane. Dragane punished for his roaming ways.
And they also get the last plate too, just before the plate's time off in the top side. You talk about Patoshka and kind of worrying about him if he's not on a side lane threat. Well, they are now in a threat in the side lane because they're
out of mana. He's got flash, but Tatui gets pulled behind a pillar and the hard place that is Desidere and Aero, hitting them with every spell available. Porp with nothing to work with will have a flash chomp that does not secure the kill because Aero manages it instead.
Okay, so another overstay, not quite understanding the position of the Rise, and of course that Trundle on the map, and that Trundle has a Divine Sundra already, seriously ready to fight. Of course, Porp well, I mean, most people are starting to build up towards their mythics at this point. And you look at the hard-earned victory in topside that has now been put into more gold onto this Rise, and the person who's realistically going to be dealing with that Rise is going to have to be someone like this Camille in the side lane. And once you get up to that Fimbulwinter, I mean, that Camille's actually going to kind of struggle to cut through him in a 1v1 scenario, which means that NYYRIKKI do have themselves a side lane option, though it's not on Patoshka like you were saying, which you were a little worried about.
Indeed, and there's a little irony perhaps in Camille buying Divine Sundra going into a Fimbulwinter, which of course Norse mythology was the death of the gods. That's where Fenrir comes out.
Oh, really? I thought that was Ragnarok, the end of all things.
Fimbulwinter is when Fenrir comes out, I believe.
Oh, really?
It's the winter of the end of the world, if I remember correctly.
I'm absolutely...
Ragnarok is the big Ragnarok's the big final fight.
You know, I would have... You know why...
Believe.
I would have learned this if there was like a Percy Jackson series of Norse mythology.
It was an Age of Mythology, though.
That's true.
One of the god powers in Age of Mythology. To those who were old enough to have played that game or committed enough to old school RTSs. Great game.
The thing is, you know, Vizicachi very famously used to play that game too. So
he was the maker of that game. He was really good.
NYYRIKKI are trying to make some connections, kind of line up the dots and find themselves maybe towards a mid lane push as Singularity are taking down that Herald, and they might catch themselves a Vega.
He's got no flash, he's got a cage though that gets a lot of value. The Death Sentence goes wide, but he just can't get enough distance and does go down. No boots, and therefore not dangerous enough to escape with his life.
Pull back into the hungry maw of the Charybdis named NYYRIKKI, if we're staying on mythological terms, and NYYRIKKI are going to maybe catch out their second catch of the day in the Camille.
They are going fishing, but the hook doesn't quite land, and that means Tatui won't sink either.
A bit of a yellow star. Misses the hook, misses the play, but I mean, at least they were there at the right point. You're trying to potentially judge a misstep, a backstep out of a hook, or predict a flash in itself. Not going to lead to anything more on the kill department, but NYYRIKKI find themselves a lot of territory. They find themselves under enemy lines.
There's a Realm Warp, but the Hextech Ultimatum prevents the escape. Dragonic coming down now. Watch for the cages. Watch for the damage. Azator left to die. He forced it to Tui. Spiky coming down. He's not here quite yet, and that means there's some room to potentially damage people. After Tui goes wide with the hook shot. That means that they can still start falling. Abigail trying to escape. The onslaught plus Dustwave forcing Aero to run away. They can't quite kill him, even with the Moonlight Vigil. Gale Force Dustwave does the job, though. Now Desiree going to fall out, and Singularity just take NYYRIKKI apart.
Take him apart. Considering trying to run, but the minions are having none of it. And Dragana gets that final kill participation. And you know what? We were praising NYYRIKKI pretty hard for those rotations, but not for the first time, and probably not for the second or third either. One of these teams just does not understand when to get the hell out of dodge. What happens here, of course, is you have a Realm Warp stopped by a big old Camille LC. Stuck way too far outside of enemy lines behind enemy lines at that point. And Singularity, credit to them, is something that they've rarely done in this split. Find the right time to choose a fight.
They do, and that was so well done. And that double knock up there, so nice. One from Porp, one from Yepe, did all the work they needed. And Goldberg, no, sorry, I got his name, I got his O and U the wrong way around, I apologize. Said on the desk that Singularity right now can only be the evil team. They can be the team to potentially take away dreams of playoffs from the likes of NYYRIKKI. They nearly managed to take a win off Riddle. They failed. There was that B-roll, that continued clip of MC stealing the Baron at kind of the end of a slow fading of their gold lead. Singularity right now are at Soul Point, are ahead in kills, are pretty close in gold. They have a hyper-scaling Veigar, who is looking towards a death cap, and speaking of being evil, it feels rather appropriate they're playing that champion.
And of course, Dragana came in as a late substitution in this split midway through because for Muta, who for the longest time was very high damage percentage but on this team for Singularity. But with Dragana coming in, actually a lot of the best performances have come in, and they've looked a little bit more cohesive after this mid lane change. Of course, I mean, they still haven't found those results. On the other side, of course, Aero, the mid lane of NYYRIKKI in this matchup, was brought in for this split. Actually, NYYRIKKI qualified for this league in the very first place with Wazen, who is now their sub. And Aero's come in and in an attempt to bolster this roster as well, and neither of them have found the levels of success they would have looked for in this split. Still looking to develop, still looking to clutch onto hopes of playoffs on the side of NYYRIKKI as well.
Double charge that Herald in mid lane gets them both an outer tower in mid, and a significant permanent chunk onto that inner turret in mid lane. Aero, though, pulling off a Chovy, pulling off a Duumbi with these CS hacks, has been up 30-odd CS over the timer. Pretty much able to game long as Dragane about to get Realm Warped on, but that's a really easy Event Horizon. Does a lot of damage back. Call of the Forge God does get a port, but he's got a Crescent Guard to buy space and time to Incinerate.
Okay.
Goes down. He takes a Primordial Burst to the face and goes down a turn. Porp gets out alive. Spiky with Crescendum has got so many Jackals to Tui's into the backline, but he only gets a stun onto Abagnale, but he's locked Azator into a second cage on the other side. A Event Horizon comes down. Dragane dies for it, but they still win the fight. Yepe finally burns out, but Abagnale takes a hook shot to the face. He goes down line and sinker for a double for Porp.
I mean, they still have themselves great weapons to do Baron on Aphelios. It's a 4 for 2. This should be a Baron to Singularity, an objective they rarely see in any of their games.
That's their first Baron.
Looking to try to go to the Patoska, has got the Spellbook Smite, has a flash, has a hope, a prayer, and don't let it be a Baron steal again. I couldn't take it. Emotionally, I'm not prepared for this.
Surely not. Can you block him? Here comes Desiree. You can't let him in. You've got to block him. He can't get into the pit. Take him out. Stop that man. It's secured. They have the Baron. Desiree is here, but not in time. They'll take him as well. And NYYRIKKI do not make it happen. And Singularity have Baron to their name.
Crisis averted, but you had to think, you had to look on in horror for just a second. Singularity punishing the overstep from Desiree. First time we saw him on the Trundle was, I believe it was versus Dusty in their victory versus them, and even then he had some duff moments, had the great early game, but struggling to land all of those punches in these fights and safely stay alive. And once that first kill comes down, it seems like the whole formation of NYYRIKKI falls apart. There's no one to keep the Jinx out of danger. That Camille gets right on top of them, zeroes in on top of Aztor's head, and Singularity now with the Baron, now with a significant gold lead, at least, well, okay, the starting of one. It's not much you want, but it's enough, and they have a way to push things on the map.
And Port, from being down 20 CS, from being invaded as wolves so early on, from a failed re-invade to try and trade back, is now 6-1-5, 2 items in, even in CS, and playing this game out with style. You've got a death cap on Dragane. You've got 5-1-6 of Velios.
Picture-in-picture of Towers dying.
And a picture-in-picture of a split push indeed. It's Hullbreaker complete, and this might be the rock that NYYRIKKI break on, that their playoff dreams die on. They need to turn this around. They might have found an angle here. Here's the realm warp. It would be a 5 versus 4. Call of the Forge God. But can they make it work? That will surely be Yeppe trading his life out. It's a decent Moonlight Vigil in turn, though. Look at the damage onto Petoshka. He is dead. Tatui survives. The death sentence lands, but I don't think it's going to get followed up on Pop. Knocks up Abigail. And a Dark Matter makes a huge annihilation reaction to wipe him from existence. Pop goes forward, does need to be a little afraid going in. He's got Crescent Guard, trying to trade on Transitor, can't quite make it happen. Healing up with a Death Stance, will survive, and that is a kill that comes through onto Dizid Ray. The Troll King falls. Where were you when Singularity were 20 kills to 10? Where were you when Azator was about to be run down? A baleful strike come through, a cage is out. And the cage match is Singularity's to lose.
It starts with a realm warp, it ends with the Jinx falling. It ends with Aztor for not nearly the first time this split, looking on in horror as the team collapses and he doesn't have a platform to put out the damage he needs to. And Singularity, in one of their first games again, it's a little bit, it's pushing a little bit hard on this, but how often have we seen them string together good fights? And this seems to be 3 off the back of each other. Starts with the Call of the Forge God, but the cancel, as you're saying, traded for the life of the Nautilus. And Yeppe does his team a massive favor with that, because they all lined up like bowling pins. Not to be knocked down at this point. And real credit again to all of the CC abilities used by Singularity, going in for the knockups on this Xin Zhao. The cage is continually changing the terrain of the battlefield, and Singularity playing it a bit close to the light again, but being paid off for their boldness.
I went hunting to see whether Singularity had gotten a Baron this split. I believe they've gotten 1. I think this is their second Baron all split long. They are up 6,000 gold. They have Soul. They have the tower lead. And just look at the items. Look at the scaling. Aphelios, Veigar, Camille. Those are some of the biggest 3-4 item threats in League of Legends. It's 24 minutes in, and NYYRIKKI are looking lost in this game.
But they might find something away back to the map with Tatui.
It's Dragane, though. He could have turned around. It's double cage again. He's going to be locked up and locked down. Taken straight out. And look on the other side. Aero at least gets a bounty back, but it's at the cost of their top laner, their front liner, the person who's supposed to ward away the onslaught of Singularity. They're rising up in this game. They're looking to play the biggest of upsets. Inhibitor about to fall. Secured.
Okay, they have themselves a soul. The Hex attack Soul Decidere looking to find something with a pillar. All he finds is a hook.
They find the hook, and it might be what they need to find an edge to close the game out. They're being forced under their Nexus towers now. Tatui will set up onto this bot lane turret. It's fallen. Inhibitor sure to go after the Hextech Soul, sends out the lightning, and the sparks are flying. Lightning might be striking here. It will be a shock, a horror, a start for Singularity. This would be the end of the losing streak. 13 games and no more, they say. They will not consider it an unlucky number. They will not consider it a winless split. They will take down NYYRIKKI and Singularity. Welcome to the NLC. You finally got a game.
A split with university players, a split with low expectations, and it takes them a goddamn long time, but you gotta feel something for these teams. You gotta feel for NYYRIKKI, of course, losing for the first time to the Singularity roster, but for this development team, for these players, I mean, like I said, I've cast Port for literally years in the university scene. And it's been a hard split for so many of these players, but there is an emotive level, a very base level of
Huge.
come on, you finally did it. You finally got that win. Be proud of yourselves.
Hats off. Show them all the support in the world. What an incredible result. What a blue shell for a team that was still thinking about playoffs. We've got a break coming up, and afterwards, we will have a winners interview with Singularity coming up. Amazing.
Schlegums.
We are back live after the game versus Singularity NYYRIKKI. Singularity finally taking the W back home. It's like,
I think I cursed the entire schedule.
you did! It's on her. It's on
I said that Veneer were going to upset Excel. Maybe that wasn't entirely, like my intentions weren't entirely true on that one. But the other one I really believed in. I really believed that Singularity could pull an upset. And we said that NYYRIKKI's strength of schedule was so easy compared to the other teams that you should never drop a game versus Singularity.
And it's, there's some beauty in it. A team that's been struggling to find meaning in the league finds meaning and take away the hopes and dreams of other teams. And all of a sudden, they leave a mark on the other teams. Like, you need to be worried about Singularity. You can't disrespect them because they might be the one team you'll have the biggest regrets when the end of the season finally comes around.
They're now the villains of the league.
well-
You're now the villains. I love that. I mean, they won a game. Obviously, to them, they're not the villains. This is what... You go solo queue, you pick Teemo. You may not win the game, but you ruin the other person's experience.
No,
I
you
think-
ruin your team's game experience.
I'm happy with that. Okay, so moving on into the interviews.
Sure.
We should look into NYYRIKKI's sides first. It's going to be Desidre with us to begin with. If I'm not mistaken, it's going to be him talking with us. There you go. Hello.
Yeah, hey guys.
Hey guys, I know, it's a tough interview.
Yeah, I can't really be positive today, sorry.
Makes a lot of sense. So we'll keep it short for you. We'll keep it short, and let's look into the game to begin with. Obviously, it was not an easy game for both teams. It was not one-sided. But in your opinion, what went wrong?
I mean, even before this game, a lot of things went wrong. It's mostly just a lot of issues piling up and not enough action being taken. So, I mean, I can point fingers and blame a lot of things, right? But it's, at the end of the day, useless. So it happened, right? So nothing I can do and just move on and hope for a better tomorrow. I don't know. It's the only thing that's kind of in my control right now.
All I'll take away from that is the smile that says we move on and we take it one day at a time. And I agree with you completely on that one. I just wanted to see your perspective of when it comes to the playoffs right now and your race to playoffs. You're still in it, obviously. You need to win every single game. And as we saw in the pre-show as well, you have the
Are we?
yeah. You still are, and you have like the easier strength of schedule compared to the other two teams that are on the same sort of.
Okay.
He's like quickly checking.
He's back. We got
I
this
wasn't
in.
sure,
We
I
back.
wasn't sure. I thought we have to win like 4 games from now, and
You have
Okay.
4 more games, so you have to win every single
Every game
one of
from
them.
now on, yeah.
so it's possible.
It is possible.
Okay, I mean then it's not over, right? It's fine.
the smile came
Oh, okay. Oh.
I mean that's
started the interview
that's
on the
something to
wrong
hope
foot.
towards, right? Yeah, I thought it's kind of over. Yeah.
There you go. So I'm gonna pick your brain now because
Yeah, thank you. Actually, saved my evening.
the other 4 teams that you have to play are teams either that are tied on you or like right above you. So give me, I want to pick your brain a little bit on how you want to play against those teams because obviously the last 2 games that we've seen from you guys have not necessarily been ideal.
Oh, yeah. I mean that's the least we can say about the games, but. I mean, I think a lot against a lot of those teams that we're gonna face now, we had successful first games, so I'm kind of hopeful, but also I'm, I don't know. It's kind of like I really need to make sure that we fix the issues that we're having right now that make us lose games, because I think when we're in the right, I wouldn't say atmosphere. It's kind of like when we're in the right zone. I feel like we can be a really good team. And like our potential, I think it's for sure possible like to be. I mean, I'd give us top 5, top 4. I think it's realistic and doable. But like as of now and the way we're losing games, it's kind of. I mean, I don't want to say embarrassing, but it kind of is for me. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm gonna do my best, and I'm sure everyone on the team will try their best to fix these things.
We hope to see that, guys. And honestly, you've shown insane growth in NYYRIKKI as a whole. I don't think necessarily the score reflects how much you've grown as a team from the start of the split to now, even in your losses. I want to exclude Excel, X7, and Bifrost because they're at the top of the table. And obviously, we have then Dusty and Veneer that are right behind. And let's say if you don't lock the 6th place for playoffs, who do you think is your biggest competitor to take that one? Who do you have your eye on?
I don't know, maybe M&M. I think they probably have the highest ceiling out of the other teams that are kind of close to us. Like I feel like Riddle kind of wins games. I'm not sure how they win games, to be honest.
We don't even know.
Like
how to
just,
win games.
I think honestly, like teams just make stupid mistakes against them. Like for us, like we did a really bad draft. For other team, it might be something else. So I don't want to shame them, obviously, right? But I just think M&M is better. I think they're better.
Thank you very much for your insights, Desidre.
Let's see what happens. And I'm so glad that the air on your room got a little bit cleaner now. You know that you still have a shot.
Yeah, it's because of you guys,
You
actually.
have to close that door, Desidre. Come on. You have to close that door.
Play with the
keep
door
the
open.
Door open.
Do you play with the door open?
Yeah.
You
I
know,
mean,
we
there's
play-
no one to
You
disturb
mad
us. It's fine.
We played a game where we rate your backgrounds, and your background got lower points because you have the door open.
I mean, if it's closed, I think. I mean, maybe it's better.
Yeah, you will get more
Okay.
points.
Give you a room tour, maybe. I can show you my pull-up bar up there. There's like a yoga ball.
Oh, okay, nice. Points going up.
Thank you so much for the interview. And I'd like to take away what Trouble said. Yeah, the work your team has put up so far, it doesn't reflect on this game. You guys are way more than this. So I would like to see what NYYRIKKI is all about in the end, okay?
I want to believe that as well. So hopefully we make it through.
Good luck, man. Have a nice one.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
This was a positive interview after
Smile
all.
came back.
Yeah, because I was really worried, like, oh,
You were looking at the man who just thought he died and then realized
Exactly.
he's still alive.
oh, I have Guardian Angel, so he's back. Okay, obviously the schedule is way harder now that they lost versus
Oh,
Singularity.
they can't drop a single game.
But there's still a chance. It's like that meme. Wait, you're telling me there's still a chance, even though it might not happen? There's still a chance. So that's all they need. For Singularity, obviously, they got the first W of the split. This is really important for them as well, mentality-wise as well. And there we go. We finally get to meet Dragane. Hello.
Hello, hello.
Congratulations, the first victory of the split. And it has to be you on the mid lane. How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm doing decent, thank you. It's nice to to get the first W, even though, of course, for me it's just the fourth game. So yeah, I'm still happy to pick up the first win, of course, for the team as a whole.
So when you joined the team, we instantly saw a lot of improvement. And now I want to ask, because you were built into a team that already had a roster, and you were put into it due to your leadership skills, from what we saw. And we saw you on Twitter as well. You were saying how, even though you're still losing games, you're really happy with how the team is behind the scenes. Can you give us a little bit of insight on the team?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of reflects on on those tweets, and I guess what you think as well is that I would be like, if you view this team from the outside or any other teams, just like, okay, we're 0-13 or now 1-13, you wouldn't know that if you saw how it was in the team, right? With the atmosphere, like everyone is always having a laugh, and I think I screamed a bit with the team until I officially, or like before I officially joined as well. And even then, I still thought it was good, like atmosphere, and I was a bit surprised how good it was, right? So yeah, I guess you could just say that, like, if you view this on the outside, you wouldn't think that we were 0-13, just how everyone is in the team. So I think that's a big strength of my team, is that they are, keeping the spirit up and the will to play, which we have now shown, and what basically brought us this win.
Oh, that's lovely, because it reflects exactly what Pop said the other day about the same thing. He's like, if we weren't the guys we are in Singularity, it would have been a completely different disaster,
Yep.
So what is the motivation as well of a player who's watched Singularity, if they've been struggling, and then because let's be real, you are coming into a little bit of a disastrous team. What's the most? I mean, let's all be honest, right? So I'm really curious for you as a mid laner. What was the motivation coming into Singularity, and what's your goals? Because obviously saying, hey, let's make European Masters is not really that realistic. So to you, what has been the end goal of this, or what is the end goal of this?
I mean, for me personally, I have played competitive for quite some time now, and I'm ever since I was a kid, I was been a team player, right, playing football, floorball here in Sweden. So it's like the team aspects of league and team projects, all this team play stuff, all that regards into a team, the good, the bad, the middle ground. It's what I love, and that's my passion for this game. Playing solo queue all day is just depressing. So when the opportunity arose from me knowing Softorius, the coach, and Spike previously, the ADC, I was immediately interested, just because this is what I like to do in this game. I like to play the team stuff. Of course, I didn't necessarily expect to make playoffs with this as well, but if I stay on Singularity or whatever comes next, it's also just very valuable for a competitive player to get some competitive games in, right? Some scrim time. Because I mean, I can say from my first game against Astralis, I felt the nerves a bit. I felt the first competitive game back, these shenanigans. And I mean, you want to reduce that as much as possible, right? Going into your future projects, even if it's with Singularity or not. So I just think it's valuable experience for me, both as a continuous player and just that this is what I like to do in this game. It's my passion to play team player and competitive play in league.
Well, it's great to know that you have the hunger for the competitiveness of the game because, I mean, it's definitely needed. And it's great the atmosphere is then so well in Singularity as well. So all in all, great response. Thank you.
I'd like to know, and I'm going to give only good news here. No one gets relegated in spring. So it doesn't matter if you go with 0 wins all the way to the end. Obviously, this is like a building process as well for Singularity. And I would like to know what your role is in the team.
Well, I don't know if I know my role yet either. To be honest, I'm kind of just winging it. But I mean, people that have played with me before and that eventually will just know that I'm a very vocal person, at least both inside and out. I always speak my mind. Like we can take as an example after, well, not versus X7, but versus Riddle. I immediately after the game was a bit, not angry per se, but you could say I was a bit tilted, a bit like pissed off, honestly, because I felt that us as a team played like just scared for no reason, right? I think we had the Riddle game in the bag, but for reasons like nerves, etc., that shouldn't necessarily lose you a game. I think it lost us the game, right? I said to the team, if this was a scrim, we would 4-0 this Drake fight, 5-0 it, get the soul, get the Baron, and right, because there would be no nerves, of course, it's scrim. So as an example, I just instantly said that, right, and I get good response from the team, like, yeah, we agree, etc., etc. So I don't know. I think my role as a player in a team or just a group environment is that I always bring up my mind. I bring on I guess good discussions and constructive, and I don't necessarily have a problem with speaking my mind, which many do. I think it's good to speak your mind instantly and get the things out of the way and then move on, right, good or bad.
And it seems like it took 3 games of you speaking your mind for Singularity to pick up the big W. And I think it's very important because when you keep continuously losing, sometimes you like forget how to win. But now also figuring it out in an official game and not even just scrims, I think it speaks most to the development in Singularity as well.
I have a personal question for you, and it's actually curious that it's you that's going to reply to me this, but it has been a heavy rain for Singularity since the beginning of the split, and now you come in, the team is adjusting as well. I want to know what was the ambience at the end of the game, or when you guys saw that you're going to get the first victory after 13 weeks. Be honest, I want to know, without those specific words, you know, but I want to know what happened on the call as soon as you guys won.
I mean, it was joy, right? I mean, I can bring up an example from when I think botlane did like a 2v2 or like with a gank early, they get some kills. Jeppe was just screaming, so the fucking mic was, getting the screech almost, shit like that. So, I mean, the will was there, but then, I mean, there was more from everyone of that screams when, like, we realized that it was over, right? I was just running around trying to kill the trash, like, yeah, give me the kill. Everyone else was like, and then I was like, no, I want the kill. So I was like, joying around a bit as well. But yeah, I mean, it was just overall joy, right? And I mean, for me, as said, I'm like basically coming in halfway, or even if it was some more games that was played over the half, right? But for my team, I'm mostly happy for them, right, and proud for them because they showed up today. Like I said as well, I didn't really think we showed up full on in the Riddle game as an example. But we did today, and then that results the win. And I mean, then I'm just happy, right? That's all I want. That's what my tweet was as well, right? That if we bring the will and the will to play and the spirit, and like no matter win or loss, it doesn't really matter, right? Because you came to play, and we did that today, and it ended up in a win. So that's that.
That answer makes me truly happy. I'm just going to say this. It makes me really, really happy because I saw the tweet from Jeppe today saying, this is our game. I don't care if we're going to make playoffs or not. I really don't care. I just want to win versus NYYRIKKI. I want to prove everybody that we can do it. And there we go. It was screaming nonstop at the end. Thank you so much for the interview, Dragane. It was wonderful to meet you. And congratulations for the entire team, dude.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.